Mark 5, verse 24. And Jesus went with him, one of the disciples, and a great crowd. Now let me tell you, when it says it's a great crowd, it's a great crowd. Kept following him. A great crowd kept following Jesus and pressed him from all sides. From all sides. Have you ever been in such a great crowd where you were pressed from all sides? I have. And it says in the Amplified, so as almost to suffocate Jesus. Now that's a great crowd. They were smashing up on him so tight, so as to almost suffocate him. And there was a woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years. So picture this great crowd, and you're standing in the middle of this great crowd, and everybody is smacked up against you. You can barely move. And you're probably touching maybe 20 people all at once. There was a woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years, who had endured much suffering under the hands of many physicians. And she had spent all that she had and was no better, but instead she grew worse. And it goes on to say, she had heard. She had heard the reports concerning Jesus. She had heard the reports. One day, maybe she heard from her sister and said, do you know what happened in that town? That boy who was born crippled, he now walks. And the next day, she heard from somebody else. Did you hear about that man over here? He was blind and now he sees. And she heard from someone else and heard from someone else, because Jesus was healing everyone that came to him. Day after day after day after day. She heard. She heard. She heard. How do you know faith comes from hearing? She heard so much that faith started to build up within this woman, because she heard and she heard and she heard. The word says faith comes from hearing and hearing. Hearing and hearing. Hearing and hearing. Over and over and over. So in other words, you can never get too much of hearing the word of God. Yeah. She heard the reports concerning Jesus. Now you can hear something, but there's a difference between hearing and listening. Yeah. And this woman was listening. She heard the reports concerning Jesus. And she pondered that. And she let it get down inside her. And she came up behind him in the throng, it says, and touched his garment. In one version says she touched the hem, the tassels, the little bitty tassels that were at the very end of the flow of his garment. She didn't even touch him. She just touched the very fringe of his garment. Why? For she kept saying. For she kept saying. She kept saying.
That's our answer.
She kept saying. She kept saying. How long do I have to keep saying? Until you see it. She kept saying, if I only touch his garments, if I only touch his garments, I shall be restored to health. And immediately, as soon as she had touched those garments, her flow of blood was dried up at the source, it says. And suddenly, she felt in her body that she was healed of her distressing ailment. And Jesus recognized in himself that the power proceeding from him had gone forth. Her faith, her belief, her saying had joined together with the power of God, and instant healing was her reward. Jesus knew power had proceeded, and he turned around immediately into the throng. Remember, so many people, they were almost suffocating him, and said, "Who touched my clothes?" I can see how the disciples might have looked at him like, "What are you talking about? There's people all over you." And the disciples kept saying to him, "You see the crowd pressing hard around you from all sides, and you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But you see, Jesus felt the power released. Still, he kept looking around to see who had done it. But the woman, oh, that woman, knowing what had been done for her, though alarmed and frightened and trembling, she fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter," she was his daughter. He recognized her faith. He called her, "You are one of mine. Your trust and confidence in me, springing from faith in God, has restored you to health. Go in peace and be continually healed and freed from your distressing bodily disease." Wow. Jesus and this massive crowd of people that desperately wanted to see him. But you see, not all of them were touching him with faith. Many people were touching him. But at that moment, only one touched him in faith. You see, the word says, the word won't profit us unless we add faith to it. And that's what she did.